everyone, before we keep going here, I need to tell you about our teammates at Darby Communications. Like I've been telling you, if you run an outdoor, an endurance, or an active lifestyle brand, there is no better PR and digital marketing belay partner or drinking buddy than Darby. They can help your business reach new heights, and they might just keep you from falling on your ass. Since we started working with Darby, more and more people, and this is an important point now, guys, I want you to hear me on this, more and more people have reached out to us here at The Rock Fight because of that messaging. Look, guys, I'm dead serious. If they can help us, they can help anybody. Hit them up at darbycommunications.com. Do it today.
Rock fight, rock fight, rock fight, rock fight, rock fight, rock fight. Here we go.
Welcome to The Rock Fight, where we speak our truth, slay sacred cows, and sometimes agree to disagree. This is an outdoor podcast that aims for the head. I'm Colin True, and joining me today, straight from the top of the podcast charts, it's the Monday Boys, outdoor industry insider Eoin Comerford, and brand and creative expert, producer Dave. What's up, guys?
Hello, hello.
We are straight from the top from the podcast charts.
Yeah.
I want everyone
Well,
to know
we're at
that.
the bottom of the
that.
top.
Well, that's still close to the top.
It sure is. It sure
Yeah.
is.
The sports chart, not just the outdoor charts.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
We have conquered the outdoor charts except for the meat-eating carnivore group.
Which, who's ever going to top
No,
that?
and you want to stay
No,
kind of your
exactly.
distance from that.
Yeah.
You don't want to get caught up in that frenzy. Oh my gosh.
But the sports chart. I mean, we beat some pretty known names out there. That's kind of wild.
So basically what we're saying, suck it, other outdoor podcasts.
No, we're not saying that.
Yeah, no, we're definitely not
saying
saying
that.
that. Colin is saying that.
Yeah,
Producer
that's
Dave and I
right.
are definitely not saying that.
that. Thank you. Thank you.
On today's show, we are going to be talking about some headlines that come out of the outdoor industry. But before we get to any of that, some programming reminders. Tomorrow, Doug Schnitzbahn opens the container like he always does on Tuesday. So head over to the Open Container feed and follow that show. His guest this week is author and photographer Andrew Kornelak. And no doubt we'll have another episode of The Rock Fight later this week. But what really matters is that this Thursday, September 4th, is Gear Abbey launch day, hosted by our own Shantae Salabert. Gear Abbey will answer your burning outdoor questions. So be sure to follow that show as well so you don't miss Thursday's 2-episode drop. And hey, Dave, how can our listeners get more out of their experience with all of the Rock Fight properties?
Rockfight.co, Colin. Rockfight.co. Newsletters, websites, lots of pretty pictures. That's the place to go.
One of these days, I'll write another newsletter. It will happen, I promise.
I know. But you know what? Now that you've got press junkets and all this heat coming from this highly rated podcast, who knows?
It's true.
Who knows?
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure we're booked on the Tonight Show next week, guys. I hope you got your flight ready. Like, oh my
I'm
God,
ready.
the Rock Fight's
I
here.
thought you were going to say we were booked on Colbert, but then, you know.
Oh, is that something going on over there?
We're the first guest after they shut it down. That is exactly right.
Oh, guys, you just missed the cut.
Yeah.
That's all.
Oh, and how can our listeners also reach out to us?
Well, they can email us at myrockfight@gmail.com. Reach out on LinkedIn, just search for Rockfight, or on Instagram where we are Rockfight Co, all one word. And you can follow along, send us a message, but please, probably email I think is the best. It's the one that makes Colin happiest, I think is
Well,
true.
you as well. You're an email guy. Dave is a
I am.
purely text guy. So
It
I
happens.
have to
Yeah.
live at the intersection of text and email with coordinating with you guys.
It's
It's a
generational
bit
trauma.
challenging.
You can do it.
Well, actually, Colin is a phone guy.
He
Colin
is.
he is.
That's true.
He
Yes.
is. He'll just. I'll see that pop up on the phone. I don't have an extra 30 minutes. I'm sorry.
I'm never offended if people don't answer, but if I'm out and about, I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll
Right.
give it a call. Maybe you'll pick up. You know what's going to happen?
We have the three mediums covered between phone, email, and text. So
All right, so quick mailbag. After our conversation last week here on with the Monday Boys about the Nike Lava Dome and then also the new trend of gravel shoes, we heard from Wilderness Exchange owner Don Bushy, former champion on the Rock Fight, who had this to say about gravel shoes specifically. He said, Colin, I can concur that every specialty retailer on earth is euphoric to add gravel, yet another category to their already bloated and skew-drifted footwear walls. At Wilderness, we're even setting up a new gravel micrometer tech bench where we can determine through customer-sourced field specimens the average gravel size of the surface in question and accurately recommend the appropriate tread depth for their local trail.
Wow.
Excellent email, Don Bushy.
See, that is the kind of service that really sets independent specialty retail apart.
Yeah, I agree. Oh,
I
my
wish
gosh.
more footwear designers and product people would talk to people like Don Bushy before they start making things.
Oh, that's no
Because I
fun.
could see it. You could see the room, right? Like, hey, man, what if we had a gravel bikes are crushing it out there.
Mhm.
What if we had a gravel shoe? Oh my God, great idea, Bill. Let's get on that. Like, no, man, talk to Don. He doesn't want a gravel shoe.
Well, a lot of it is also, we're really a trail running brand. Nobody will believe us if we do road, but if we do gravel,
That's the stepping stone.
yes, exactly.
Look out, Asics. Here we come. Thanks, Don, for writing in. All right, let's move on to the opening shot of today's episode, which is presented by Lem's Shoes. As the summer season wraps up, now is a great time to get ready for fall with Lems. From easygoing slip-ons and refined leather lace-ups to tough, trail-ready boots, Lems offers footwear for every occasion, and their fit is unmatched. If you've never experienced the fit of a pair of Lems, well, I just feel sorry for you because they're built with comfort, durability, and versatility at their core, and their collection is ready to take you wherever the season leads. And with fresh and exciting styles just around the corner, be sure to stay tuned. But in the meantime, head to lemshoes.com right now to get your feet into the best fitting shoe you've ever worn. Lems, fit first.
Boom.
All right, guys, so today, first up, per SGB, Footlocker shareholders have voted to approve the acquisition of the famed retailer by Dick's Sporting Goods, bringing the merger of the two one step closer to fruition. Said Mary Dillon, Footlocker's CEO, quote, "We are now one step closer to joining forces with Dick's and even better positioning the business to expand sneaker culture, elevate the omni-channel experience for our customers and brand partners, and enhance our position in the industry." So, Eoin, just looking ahead, it's been a minute since we touched on this story. Any big hurdles still looming, you think, for this merger to be finalized?
Well, I think that was pretty much it. They've passed the FTC review period, where somebody might have raised an objection about the antitrust or uncompetitive nature of two really big retailers joining together. That's passed, so yeah, it's I think it's going to close here on the 8th of September.
So we've been tracking this story since it was announced in May. And given how the tariff turmoil has played out since then, I mean, you think there's any concerns or predictions for the footwear world? If and it sounds like and when the merger is finalized?
I don't think so. But like we were talking about last week, that just the overall momentum that we're seeing in the footwear category, it has been such that it hasn't really been derailed by the whole tariff thing. It's just been a bit of a road bump for footwear. Plus, most of it's now concentrated in Vietnam, which is actually settled in at a 20% level, which I think is going to stick for a while. Who the heck knows? But that's the current feeling. The other thing I would say is that the footwear industry is not unused to tariffs because it's one of the higher tariffed areas historically. Anywhere from 20 to 37.5% is what they were facing even before all this thing happened. So, I think that they're used to working through that. To me, the concern from investors, and it's the stock was down a little bit post Dick's earnings on Thursday. The concern, though, is that Footlocker may be just becoming more of a boat anchor, right? You've got Dick's, and they're going in different directions, right? You've got Dick's Q2 comp sales up 5%, continued really strong results there. Footlocker down 2%, yet again, continued down, right? Dick's gross margin, right, up 33 basis points. Footlocker down 50 basis points. So, it's not a great scenario there. I think overall, though, like what does it mean for the wider industry is that, and this came up on Dick's earnings call yesterday, they view their relationship with all these brands, especially Nike, as really the way for them to unlock the value at Footlocker by improving their assortment, right? So getting more quote unquote high heat styles into those stores, which then drive a differentiated assortment, more full price sales, more higher value sales, right? All this good stuff. The issue, though, is that there's a finite amount of of those high heat styles or demand for those high heat styles. So the allocation, if they are going to get more allocation, has to come from somewhere. So it's either going to come from the D2C sites for those brands, maybe, probably not, right? Or it's going to come from other retailers. And that's probably the bigger concern, especially for the outdoor industry, because we stock a lot of these brands, whether it's On or Brooks or Hoka, et cetera, but we're not really core for those brands. And so are we going to see potentially less of the high end, the Cliftons, the Clouds, et cetera, from those brands for outdoor?
I'm actually more interested in this conversation of Dick's and Footlocker, that merging together in one. Colin, it must be said. Are we waiting for Dick Locker?
Yes.
Right.
That's the follow-up to House of Sport.
Is that in the inevitable? Is that where this goes to?
Yes, you had the Dick Locker on your way to House of Sport,
right,
I think is what happens.
I think so too. The best of both worlds together.
That's amazing.
No comment.
And with that, it's time for the lightning round.
Lightning round.
All right, so earlier this week, San Francisco 49ers running back Christian McCaffrey has taken an equity stake in performance and apparel footwear brand While on Earth. I've never heard of them, but apparently that's a thing. Owen, do you think McCaffrey's involvement will result in an on-the-bench line of performance clothing for those who are often injured?
I think maybe it might be the special 3F line for fantasy football fiasco. I think that would be... Speaking from personal experience...
Did you have McCaffrey last year on your fantasy football team?
Maybe one of them. I mean, yeah. Hey,
that's rough.
That is rough. I think the interesting thing here is that he's given up that sweet Nike money to do this, right? Yeah. And while I think people look at the Kim Kardashians of the world or whatever, and then think, oh well, I can do that. If you think about it, right? Let's say he's given up $2 million a year. Okay, just from a dollars and cents perspective, and he's got partners and whatever else. Okay, this thing's going to need to be like $100 million, and it's going to lose money for like 2 or 3 years.
Of course,
all new brands do, right? So it's going to require money, right, to get it off the ground. I mean, this thing needs to get to be like $100 million before he gets paid back for all those Nike dollars he missed along the way. I mean, I don't know. It's interesting.
Next thing, last week, performance textile maker Polartec debuted Power Dry Mesh, which they describe in short as lightweight, warm weather fleece. So, Dave, not to take a shot at our former employer, but when we're trying to market something eternally associated with cold weather, which is fleece, and now they're trying to do it as something you can use in the summertime, are we officially scraping the bottom of the fabric barrel?
Oh, well, look, Power Dry is a long time part of the Polartec stable, right? It's one of the base layers known for, see, this is the interesting, it's known for moisture wicking. It's got dry in the name, right? And so you've got this moisture wicking base layer. They are, and it's a bi-component knit, so you're putting two pieces together, you're not blending it. And this has really been kind of Polartec's calling card, like putting fibers where they need to go to do the most good. So it kind of fits into that they're expanding out. And they've done different versions of Power Dry before, so this isn't totally new. And I think it's just more actually speaks to a couple things. One, versatility is what they're all about. They're trying to give you the widest range with their lines for your use. But really, too, this just speaks to the time period they are in their brand and kind of their ownership. They're in the iterative stage. We're not seeing any kind of leaps in technology or leaps in innovation. It's how can we mine more out of our current platforms to give them just a little nudge in a different direction to create a new use case story. So I think that's how it just all fits together. But the idea of something of warm weather, fleece is a tough word for that, but this idea of just warm enough is, I think, something they're really, really looking at.
It's an interesting answer, but the correct answer was yes, we are officially scraping the bottom of the fabric barrel.
No. Hey, actually, I work with a brand called Ewer, and they just released a warm weather version of their fleece treasure dress, and it sold out in hours.
I think on a garment perspective, that makes I see that, and I know what they're going for with this. Is like, all kidding aside, and I think that makes sense. I just think to Dave's point, fleece. When I'm a product designer, and you're showing me, oh, here's summer fleece, it might be a little like, okay, guys, like, how many other lightweight fabrics do I have to choose from? But that's an interesting point about what you were doing, and I'm sure I can picture it in my head, and I want to go check it out now. All right, last story for the lightning round. After a disappointing second quarter for Athleta, their owner, Gap Incorporated, is predicting a reset to return to form will take a fair amount of time as they make moves to right the ship. Eoin, Athleta is a founding member of brands that led to the rise of athleisure. Given where modern trends are and where Athleta sits today, can we safely say that athleisure is officially dead?
No.
Whoa.
No, but
whoa.
That's a classic true hot take. No, yeah.
Bam!
No.
The industry is dead, Colin.
Yeah,
dead.
everything's dead. Podcasting is dead.
Dead.
No.
Podcasting's dead.
That's right.
The rock fight's on the charts. We can't have podcasting anymore.
No, but I would say it is definitely oversaturated. Basically every brand that is even like tangentially related to anything active has joined the athleisure trend, including, let's face it, a lot of outdoor brands, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's really more of the story here. The other thing I would say is that they just also announced as part of this that they've moved on to their second president since REI's Mary-Beth Lawton left the president role 2 years ago. So I'm guessing MB is going, So, yeah, see, this is, I guess things weren't so bad when I was running the show.
Weren't so bad back in the day, huh?
Exactly.
MB, as always, you're always welcome to come on the Rock Fight, and we can talk about. We don't have to talk about REI. Let's talk about Athleta.
Let's talk about athleisure. What the heck's going on?
Yes,
stirring up some tea right now. Let's go.
In the store aisles, a quiet revolution is happening. With Endeavor, frontline staff aren't just selling products; they're building trust, making connections, and turning browsers into loyal customers. Let's see how. He didn't know which brand he wanted, just that the trail ahead was rocky. But she knew, because she'd trained for this moment right on her phone. A quick conversation, a confident recommendation, and a perfect fit hiking boot later, he's ready for his trip. That's right, she's a shop floor hero! It may be lunchtime, but between sandwich bites, he learned about fog-fighting tech and snow goggles. An hour later, that knowledge helped a customer pick the perfect pair and add a helmet too. Learning on the go, selling with certainty, adding value. Yup, he's a shop floor hero! Endeavor is a mobile-first platform that equips retail staff with training, incentives, and tools to boost sales and brand engagement. Brands gain insights, sell-through improves, while retail associates stay motivated. Ready to get started? Just head to endeavor.io, update your brand profile, and upload your dealer list to access the free features and, when you're ready, launch your first pay-as-you-go campaign. With flexible, scalable options, Endeavor turns everyday interactions into strategic wins. The result? Be a shop floor hero! Endeavor's here to stay! Shop floor hero! Sell-through is the way! All right, today's main event on the Rock Fight is presented by Oboz, who wants to share their love of hiking, and we want to help them by uncovering all the different ways we love to take the long walk, including the following. Number 1, you get to turn walking uphill into a total personality trait.
Yes.
That's a common thing.
It is.
Number 2, because your phone's low battery warning means freedom, not panic. Is that how you feel, Dave?
No, not with the bears.
It's still panic.
Coming. Yeah, right.
Number 3, trail signs are the universe's way of saying, hey, you're on the right path.
Okay, I like that.
Okay?
That's nice.
Yeah.
And you know that you'll be on the right path if you're hiking in a pair of Oboz Hyalite mid-waterproof boots. The Oboz Hyalite is rooted in the spirit of Hyalite Canyon, designed for lasting comfort and made with recycled and bio-based materials. The Hyalite collection is designed to support your stride, whether that's out on rocky switchbacks or wandering closer to home. And this hiking appreciation moment is brought to you by Oboz of Bozeman, Montana, the maker of premium quality footwear for the trail and the Cupid to the outdoor world. Oboz, love hiking. Okay, big story today is about Summit Hut. because news out of the specialty retail world last week is that the well-known GOA dealer Summit Hut out of Tucson, Arizona, announced they would be closing per a post on their Instagram page. The retailer stated that, quote, the past few years brought a combination of pressures too great to overcome. Rising costs, brands selling direct, new big box competition, the push for lower prices, shifts toward online shopping, and a changing customer base all played a part. Summit Hut ended up in a tough spot. Too big to run super lean, but too small to compete with national chains. We looked at every possible option, but in the end, it just wasn't sustainable. So Summit Hut joins Portland's next adventure as GOA accounts calling it a day in 2025. The reaction was swift, with most people lamenting the loss of a shop that has often been held up as an example of shining example of specialty outdoor retail. And then, of course, there are those who are wondering how the industry can survive if a shop like Summit Hut can't make it. A lot to talk about here. So let's start with the big picture. I guess just, for both of you, maybe, Eoin, if you want to kick us off, just what are your general thoughts after hearing this news about Summit Hut?
Well, first was really sadness for Dana and Jeremy and the whole crew there who really poured their heart and soul into the business for the past decades, right? I mean, this was not a decision I'm sure that was made lightly. And it definitely hurts. Second, it really got me thinking about all the factors that are feeding into the issue and the pressure that is on independent outdoor specialty stores, whether that's D2C competition, aging core customers, rising labor, rent, operating costs, even actually climate change is something, because the climate is affecting how people go outdoors, or how they can go outdoors in places like Tucson, Arizona. So yeah, a lot of different thoughts swirling around over this one.
Dave, how about you?
I just I kind of echo all of that. I've been to it one time in my career down in Tucson, and the big wide open kind of space. I always just kind of looked at it as definitely an aspirational model in terms of just creating an inviting store. It definitely they were kind of a little more head of the game, modernized in terms of merchandising and just kind of creating this open space.
Yeah, we've talked about how there have been transfers of ownership of outdoor retailers over the past few years, especially per the GOA. There's some good statistics about, changing off to, new owners and stuff like that. But when two stores like Summit Hut or Next Adventure outright close, and there is no new shop not named REI that we know of anyway, to take its place, what does that really say about the state of outdoor retail?
I mean, I think you have to look at the chains that are doing well today within GOA, or the chains that are growing, adding stores. I call them the mini chains. They have like 20 plus stores. Really, the big three that I'm seeing right now, you've got Gearhead Outfitters, you've got Half Moon Outfitters, and then Mountain High Outfitters. So they're all outfitters apparently. But really, they're not outfitters because they're all very lifestyle focused. I mean, you might see some gear like a Patagonia Black Hole duffel, etc. But despite their names, you're really not going to outfit yourself for a backpacking trip in any of these stores. And it's really much more focused on fashion-driven, what I would say are more impulse purchases. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Because they're just stocking what is selling, but they're not a classic gear store in the Summit Hut sense, right? And I really feel that like that true outdoor gear shop, like a Summit Hut or a Next Adventure for that matter, is in a much tougher spot because, well, gear has gotten so specialized, right? You can't just have you can't have one expedition pack on the wall and call it a day, right? I mean, you can't have just one tent, right? I mean, you really have to have a lot of different assortment, and it's also it's become such a considered purchase that unless you're an outdoor gear store that's at a destination like the entryway to a national park or something, people are going online, right? And they're going online just to research. And then when they're online, they're seeing, oh, I can get 15% off my first purchase at whatever site.com, right? And so then they're going to maybe buy there and not so much in that local gear store.
So I'm just becoming increasingly more convinced that the loudest voices in the room here don't understand where the industry is actually headed and simply want to force the industry to fit their own definition of it. Like based on what you just said, is exactly right. I mean, the things that are growing are different than what we've had historically. I mean, we don't know what's happened at Summit Hut. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of factors. I mean, and Dana said it in her post, or whoever wrote the post, that there were a lot of factors that played into this decision. I've actually reached out to Dana as well, to hopefully she'll join the pod at some point to kind of talk about it. But I just feel like the days of the hardcore gear shop are over. We've talked about this on the pod, but this kind of just really drives home the point to me. I don't think this doesn't mean that the outdoor industry can't grow and thrive, because it is growing and thriving, just in a different way. I mean, if you look at the recent OIA participation report, again, more people are participating. It's being led by Blacks and Latinos, so different people are going outside than have in the past. I think the reality is the broader path that's being forged by retailers, it's focused, like you said, Owen, on less technical products. And even REI is likely to be the new normal. And if you want or need that more technical product, you can go to a GGG, or you can buy direct from the brand to get them. I mean, honestly, we kind of apply like Occam's razor to the industry. Isn't that sort of the simplest and most likely explanation for what we're seeing? I mean, I got multiple messages this week of like, how can the industry hope to survive if Summit Hut can't make it? And I just don't think I think that just doesn't acknowledge the sort of broader trends that seem pretty obvious if you really take the step back and look at it.
I don't know. It's quite that simple. I guess
it's that simple.
Of course it is. You're absolutely right, Colin. Thank you.
Good.
No.
Moving on.
No, just because. Okay, I think you have to ask yourself the question. First of all, I'm not sure I totally buy that all outdoor gear shops are going to go away. I think there is going to be sort of a molding and a difference, and some folks that maybe don't change with the times somewhat. Maybe they won't survive. But a good gear shop that's providing great service to their customers, I think has a place. But let's just take what you're saying as actually the truth, that outdoor gear shops are going to go away as we know them. I guess the question becomes, what will that do to the industry? What will it do in terms of participation? I personally think that would be an awful thing for the industry. It would be an awful thing for participation. I think a lot of people's first experience with the outdoors and getting into the outdoor gear is at their local gear shop. And maybe their local gear shop didn't carry everything, but you went in there and there were people that loved doing the things that you were trying to get into, perhaps, and were excited about it and could tell you about it and could tell you about what kind of pack you needed and do all these things and really shepherd you through that process. If that goes away, are we just relying on ChatGPT for that? I mean, is that where we're going here?
Why does it have to be one or the other? I mean, if you went to a gearhead outfitters, which is not, kind of to your point, like a little softer, sorry for the word, right? Why couldn't you have that same experience? Just because they're not selling kayaks and ice axes, but they're selling, they sell some hard goods with mostly soft goods and shoes. I think like there's a lot more. I think the younger consumers especially are conditioned to shop that way and look at different things and go to secondhand stores and maybe it's like, I can go to a gearhead online, or I can go to GGG, or maybe there is that sort of store that is still positioned by the national park that has more things. And when I'm in town, I go there. But I can still have the new authentic experience is a little bit different than what we experience. And you're right. I am speaking hyperbolic, with some hyperbole that, it's all going to go away. It's not all going to go away, because there are locations where it will make sense to do it. I just think it's I bristle at the industry can't survive if we don't have it the way it was before. And I think what we're seeing is there's a clear evolution. Maybe we don't know where it ends up, that is happening, and people are still going outside more than they ever have before. So I just want to kind of almost meet it on its own terms and be like, okay, so what does this actually mean? Where are things being sold? Where are people actually shopping? And what does that mean for getting more people outside or supporting the people who are already going outside?
Well, I was just going to say, I agree with Eoin in that the shop isn't dead. It's changing, and we might be in a downward ebb, but it will flow and it will fill the spaces left once we see where the legacy, let's call it the legacy specialty world, is kind of falling apart. E-commerce is filling in these new brands, GGG being part of that world, and somewhere there's going to create these spaces. And I think, to your point, it's going to be from people who have not been traditionally a part of the industry ecosystem building these spaces. For example, we're losing Next Adventure. I mean, you can't really replace that as a footprint in Portland specifically. But nearby is opening up a new core outdoor shop by a couple from Venezuela. And they're really focusing kind of on the Latino experience in outdoor. They bring some, heavy like wilderness, backcountry wilderness chops, but it's a small concept piece. And it's going to be very much weighted to trying to be more inviting more people in. And so that's an example. Does it replace Next Adventure? No, but it's absolutely the seeds for the next generation to grow and finding that spaces in between. And maybe they couldn't have done that necessarily if you still had an outsized presence, right, by some of these folks. And so maybe there is some creative destruction going on. As much as I hate to see some of these great places and spaces go, I think that there's too much vitality in this industry. And again, what we represent, the idea of going outside to nature, is a very strong pull. So I think it's going to bring us along with it.
But where are all the straight white males supposed to shop if that's what the future is? That's what I'm worried about.
Well, Dick's and Footlocker are emerging.
Okay, there, I feel better now. Thank you for reminding me about the Dick's and Footlocker. Whew, got worried for a second there.
Yeah, but I'm certainly not willing just to write off traditional outdoor gear stores.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot that can be done, both from the retailers but also from the brands to make sure that those stores are healthy in the future.
Right.
And we'll get to this in a little bit, but I did start looking at what are some of the brands and what are some of the things they can do to help those stores.
Yeah, listen, I am not. Obviously, I love gear shops. I'm of this same generation as you guys. Of like, that's my memory as well. I just am sort of, again, my reaction to this is, number one, we weren't running Summit Hut, so we don't, only they really understand the position they were in and why they were had to stay open or decide to close. There are multiple like trends at play going on here, and I think the landscape is changing. Is there a world where a more traditional gear shop can thrive? I'm sure there is. Absolutely. And I want that to happen because I agree with you. And I think there's nothing quite like walking into a shop like that and just that feeling of like, oh my God, all I want to do is go outside and do stuff now. But I also think that doesn't mean that can't be experienced in other ways. And probably the trends are moving that way for certain markets specifically. And, there's the presence of online and all the other ways that you can procure things these days that kind of complicate that. So I don't know, just be interesting to monitor how this plays out in the coming years.
How's your Spanish, Colin?
Not great.
Not great?
No.
Loco por la Adventura.
Is that the name of the shop in Portland?
That's the name of the shop. I wanted to give them I mentioned them, but I didn't say their name. Loco por la Adventura Base Camp Mountaineering Center.
When does it open?
Crazy for Adventure. That's awesome.
Crazy for Adventure. Yeah,
Okay.
They're open now. All right. So,
All right.
Yeah.
You got to go. You got to take some pictures.
Right. Absolutely.
All right, so let's move on to the next piece of this conversation because we know there's a lot of complexity in running a retail shop or a brand that is evident more than ever in today's outdoor landscape, as evidenced by the conversation we just had. But let's move from the retail part of it to the brand side because our own consigliere attempted this week to quantify who was out there doing a good job on the brand front. And this week, Eoin created a brand scorecard to see who was checking the most boxes when it came to how he views best practices for partnering with retailers. So, Eoin, walk us through what you created.
This actually started with the whole Summit Hut thing, right? Because I was thinking about the impact of D2C and brands and all this stuff on outdoor special retailers. And I started to look at how many brands have email sign-up discounts, and then it became this whole. Basically, it blew a whole afternoon. But anyway, let's get into what this snowballed into. So I came up. It's a 100-point scale. The first thing is email sign-up. Okay, you get 30 points if your email sign-up is not a discount. All right. So if there's no discount, that is 30 points. And then really, if it's 10% or under, I'm going to give you a little bit. I'll give you 10 points. If it is 15% or under, you get 5 points. But if it's like 20% or more, 0 points. Okay.
Okay.
So that's a big one.
That's the discount for if you start shopping on their website, you get a discount off of your order.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
All right. The second thing was, is your main message a sale message? Like on your homepage, the first thing you see, is that a sale message? Now, in fairness, I did this the Thursday before Labor Day, so it is kind of a salesy period. So whatever.
Sure.
But even with that, though, 64% of the brands I looked at didn't have one. So
Interesting.
it is possible to not have a sale message. And if you didn't, you got 20 points. The next thing I looked at was the top navigation on the site. So the persistent navigation. If you have a persistent sales section always there at the top of the page, you get 0 points. If you don't have one, if you avoid that, you get 10 points. Okay, so this is all about sort of the whole discount orientation of the site. That's the first thing. The second thing I really looked at was, to what degree are you supporting your retailers by suggesting that they are a place that you could buy the brand? The main thing is on the product page, the PDP, right? Because if you get 30 points if on the product page, like below the add to cart, you're saying, and this is available in these actual stores right near you. And there were actually 3 of the 25 brands that did that. So you get 30 points for that. You get 20 points if you didn't actually call it the brand, but there's like a link that says buy it locally, or find a store near you, right on the product page just below the add to cart button. So that was worth 20 points. And then if you had a dealer locator up in the top navigation again, so prominently up there at the top of the page, not buried at the bottom, at the top of every page, you get 10 points for that. So all of that adds up to 100 points. And then I did like 25 total brands.
So who are the top brands? Like, and who could stand and maybe, take a little look in the mirror and reevaluate their priorities in life?
Well, so there were 2 brands had the perfect 100-point score, although one of them has an asterisk. So Oboes, our own sponsor.
Oboes love hiking oboes?
That same Oboes, 100 points, perfect score. Brooks also got 100 points, but a bit of an asterisk because they do offer a discount for their email, but only on their apparel, which isn't really their core stuff. So I'm like, okay. So they get 100 points with an asterisk. But then the other folks that were in what I call tier 1, so 75 to 100, Nemo Equipment, obviously, big friend of the pod. Rab, another friend of the pod. By the way, I didn't have them on the initial list, and then they bugged me, so I figured out their score. 90.
What about us?
Nice job. Yeti is up there, and then
not a friend of the pod,
and no, unfortunately. And then Solomon, which is absolutely totally a friend of the pod,
massive friend of the pod.
Massive
Solomon,
friend of the pod, yes.
That brand I've never heard of.
We love them so much. We talk about them all the time.
The reality is we probably do, just because of the one time we forgot
we
them.
do.
So right.
They were the tier 1, and then sort of tier 2, so the 50 to 75, and this is in order of decreasing score. So Arc'teryx, On, Big Agnes, Exped, Cool, Osprey, Smartwool, Fjallraven, and Patagonia. And actually, Patagonia,
some heavy hitters in tier 2.
In tier 2, right. And Patagonia was kind of right there at the 50-point level. They used to be like top of the one. I've watched Patagonia over the years. I mean, they now have a discount, email sign-up discount, which they didn't used to have, and they dropped their retailer locator from their product page within the last 12 months. So that's okay.
Shame.
Yes, but the thing that really occurred to me, though, as I looked at most of these brands in these top tiers, is these top scoring brands are some of the healthiest brands that are out there right now in terms of growth, et cetera, right? And so I guess the question you ask yourself is, are they healthy because they do all these things? Or is it because they have healthy sales and demand that they can afford to do these things? They don't have, they don't have to discount. They can afford to support the retailers because they're healthy, or vice versa. So yeah, a bit of a chicken or an egg kind of scenario.
Honestly, that plays in a little like kind of the conversation we were just having coming off the Summit Hut news, right? It's like that's kind of, and Dana, or again, whoever wrote it, alludes to it in the reasons why they're closing, of like these market forces are chaotic, if not anything else, right? And so the idea of like this is also who you're up against and what they're doing, and then the power of that these folks have in terms of the money they have in their pockets to spend versus an independent retailer. And when I say like, hey, the era of the gear shop maybe being over, it's not to say that the era of the specialty outdoor retailer is over. It's to say like I see why the specialization is going where it's going. Right, the assortment and the inventory and things that you have to be a true traditional gear shop, it gets hard, especially if you don't have like a big national park or something next door for people to constantly be coming in to use that stuff for.
Obviously, it would help if, when somebody does go on to whatever the site is, let's say Osprey is a great example. You go on the Osprey site, no discount, right, for signing up for their email. And
Right.
when you do all that research and you figure out which of, I don't know, 20 different expedition packs are the right ones for you, and you get onto that product display page, there's a link right there that says find it locally. Okay.
Right.
Right. That is what we need if you're going to if you're going to
Yes.
support gear stores long term.
All right. So do we want to talk about the third tier?
Well, let's skip the third tier and let's just go to the fourth tier, which is the lowest tier. So this is 0 to 24.
We're skipping a tier.
Well, just because they're kind of in the middle. I mean, they're whatever.
Okay.
I mean,
all right. That's fair.
They're
Let's go to the bottom. Let's do it.
Yeah, and so tier 4, again from high to low, but high being 20 points. We've got Cotopaxi, friend of the pod, Helly Hansen, obviously the new Contour brands, Keen, Columbia, Kelty, Marmot, and Prana. So I think you can see, it's sort of the opposite of the other side of that scale in terms of brands that are maybe not doing so well. So again, are they not doing so well because they're not doing these things, or are they doing these things because they feel the heat they need to cut off any sales to their retail partners? They need to. I mean, all of these folks had discounts of anywhere from 10 to 20% off. So,
Dave, are you bummed that we didn't see this before we talked to Matt Sutton at Columbia?
Well, we're gonna definitely separate church and state on our conversation about the.
Yes.
But look, I mean, to that point, is it not doing well? It's also, you've got a lot of direct first kind of mindsets here.
Mhm.
You've got some, they've all of these brands tend to be much more inward focused, and so maybe you'd think they'd be a little more sensitive to the needs of a retailer, seeing that they run their own retail and would know that. I also find it interesting that some of the, if you're doing all things right in the retail space, yet your brand isn't growing like you want it to, maybe it's not your retail space. Maybe it's not even your product. Maybe it's your brand. Maybe it's some other things that you're not taking a look at in the same way. So this does kind of reveal some, opportunity areas to assess from.
What I would tell you is that I think a lot of what I put out here is not news to most retailers. And
Right.
if you look, if you ask the Wes Allens of the world, which side of this group are they buying from? It's definitely the people at the top of the list, right? Because they're supporting them, they're supporting and they're driving full margin sales. So it is a virtuous cycle, I think, at the top of this list. So one thing I did want to point out as a correction here, that actually versus the version that went out on LinkedIn, Mountain Hardwear actually was initially in this tier 4 group, and friend of the pod, Troy Sykott, reached out and corrected me that actually they do have a link on their product page to their dealers, and so that bumped them up into tier 3. So yeah, so just so that we're all clear that yes,
good call.
Yes,
I tell you what, this is interesting about this, and again, just back. This is all this stuff can get tied back to all of our conversations around core versus casual, and the way even the Columbia ad reaction. There's so much vibe and emotion tied into so many opinions on the show included, right? And the outdoor industry. And what I did love about this, Eoin, was that I loved having a metric to go off of.
Sure.
Right. All of that was just saying about, well, maybe, why would a gear shop stock certain things or whatever? And it's like, well, did anybody, it's all feel. It's like, well, this brand's kind of does well and everything. But it's like, hold on, let's put some numbers to this and show you why perhaps that some things either a little bit more challenging, or what are the broader market forces that are happening that are leading to the results you're getting or not getting in your shop with these particular brands. How does this apply to your assortment? Because your point about like a West or somebody like them, if they're in that top tier, maybe they're not having some of the same issues as some of the other brands who are a little bit heavier on brands at the bottom tier. And it may sound like a small thing, but to your point, like, we're learning this with talking to Lloyd at GGG and with all the other brands that we have a chance to talk to because of our podcast. And you start to understand the landscape of outdoor brands and outdoor adjacent brands is much larger than you may think. And the business that's happening in the direct side is much larger than you might think. And that will trickle down to these folks who are incredibly important to our industry on the retail side. And they might not even have any purview of like why it's even happening. So like doing this is actually, it's fun, but it's also, I think, really important.
Yeah, it does. Lots of people are asking me about adding other brands to the list, and yeah, this is definitely not meant to be exhaustive, but more illustrative of, hey, these are some of the things that really matter in terms of what drive business for a retailer, or full price business
Yeah.
for a retailer. These are the things that really matter. And so it's pretty straightforward for people to come up with their own score and to say, okay, should I be on sale or should I not? I think it would be
Right.
cool to revisit this, maybe not during a sale season, to be fair to all the brands, maybe during peak season, peak fall season, peak spring season, and see where they are, see where we come out. Also track these things over time. Like I'm saying with Patagonia, for example, actually going backwards as they remove dealer links from their homepages, just to keep track on where the vibes are going. Or like Viore, for example, I thought Viore would be top of the list. Not so. No links to their dealers on the PDP, but more surprisingly, a 20% discount for email sign up, which I don't think that's how they used to be, which tells me, what's going on with Viore? So,
Red flag.
yeah.
Is it what's going on with Euphoria, or is it again just another one of those indicators of the influence that performance marketing still has on this? And so that's you get that over and over and over, and so you've got this pull between the wholesale side, the brand people, and this performance piece. And 20% is infuriating if I'm both in a brand or a sales perspective. And I would argue for a brand like Viore, is it even really necessary? Right? Are you really attracting that much more first-time consumer because of the 20? No, they're there because they want the brand, or they felt the product at the store and how soft it is. It's like, be confident in that, right? continue to lead versus have to grovel.
So that's become so endemic, just in terms of like almost any D2C brand. The expectation when you land on the site is, here's at least 15% off for signing up for our email. And it does, I think, beg the question, okay, we're acquiring that customer, but we're acquiring them with a discount right off the bat. Is that the right way to go?
Well, guys, that's the show for today. No parting shot today. We went long with everything else. And so we do want your emails. Send them in. Retailers, send it in. We'd love to hear what you think about Summit Hut. What do you think about the state of the world? What do you think about Eoin's metrics and the brands that you work with? Send your feedback to myrockfight@gmail.com. The Rock Fight's a production of Rock Fight LLC. Today's episode is produced by producer Dave. Art direction provided by Sarah Gensert. For Eoin Comerford, I'm Colin True. Thank you for listening. And here to take us out, it's Krista Makes with the Rock Fight song. And we'll see you next time, Rock Fighters.
Yay!
Rock fight.